Well, I just learned that these can't be very long or YouTube won't upload them. So this is my second time, and I'm going to go a little faster, and so you might have to pause it sometimes. But 9.6 is the properties of logarithms. And what you have to remember is that when you're dealing with logs, you're really talking about exponents. So the first property is that the log base b, meaning any base, of something times something is the same as the log base b of that first thing plus the log base b of the second thing. And that is true because when you're multiplying exponents, you know that you add the exponents. So when you multiply the base, you add the exponents. And so since logs are equal to the exponent, the rules for exponents hold for logs. So if you're multiplying them, you can separate them like that and add them. The same is true with divide. If you're dividing, you can change that to subtract. So that is a property. And the last property is that if you're raising to a power, what did I write my power as r, you can pull that power in front and multiply by it. And we know that's true. If I had x to the third raised to the second, we know that we multiply those, don't we? And so if you're raising to a power, you can multiply it by the log. And that is your all-important rules. Memorize, understand, and you'll use those this whole section and in 9.7. So let's see if we can use them. To begin with, it will tell you to write as a single logarithm. And it will give you a whole bunch of them. So for example, if I said that the log base 3 of x plus the log base 3 of x minus 9, and I want it written as a single logarithm. Now they have to have the same base, and they all will, and so your answer will have the log with that base, but just 1. And then you use your rules and go, oh, I know that when I'm adding, I can change it to multiply and write 1 log. So we're going to write one single logarithm and change it to multiply. And they might go one more step and distribute. And we want to make sure they know that we're taking the log of both of those. So leave those in parentheses or brackets up there. Okay. How about if I do log base 7 of 40 subtract log base 7 of 8. Well, now I'm going to use my subtract rule. And again, I'm going to write 1 log with the common base, so base 7, but I change subtract to divide. So I have 40 divided by 8, or to simplify, just log base 7 of 5. Let's try one more. How about this one? Log base 3 of x to the third plus 4 minus log base 3 of x squared plus 2. So once again, I'm going to write 1 log base 3, and then since I'm subtracting, I will change it to divide. And they just leave it like that. You don't have to do long division or anything. You're done. The last, in addition to that, they'll have you practice the power property. So they'll say use that power property to rewrite, just to make sure, because you notice we haven't used that one yet. So it can look like this. You could see, I'll give you a tricky one. Log base 7 of the cube root of 4. Now, here you have to think back again to your exponent rules. We know that if we have the cube root of something, that is the same as having raised to the 1/3 power. Remember that the root is the denominator. And so I have a hidden exponent there. That's like I'm raising to the 1/3. So if I were raising to the 1/3, I could use my power rule right here and pull that power down in front like this. So my answer will be 1/3 times log base 7 of 4. All right. Let's do one more of those. How about this one? What if I gave you 3 log base 4 of 2 plus 2 log base 4 of 5. And you might want to pause your camera and see if you can do that one. And then come and follow me. I'm going to go ahead and use that power rule to write that as an exponent. And same with the 2. I'll put it here as an exponent. And then I'm going to write 1 log base 4. And so I have 2 to the third, which we know is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then I'm changing plus. Over here I see a plus becomes multiply. So I'm going to times that by 5 squared. So 25. So my final answer is log base 4 of 200. Done. How about this one? Let's do 3 log base 11 of 2 plus log base 11 of 3. Subtract log base 11 of 2. Now, here again, I've got one coefficient that I will make a power. But they're all log base 11. That doesn't look very good, but they're all log base 11. So I have 1 log base 11 in my answer. And then I have 2 to the third, which we know is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. I know that I change plus to multiply, so now I'm going to multiply by 3. And then we change subtract to divide. So we're going to divide by 2. So my final answer will be log base 11 of 24 divided by 2, which is 12. Okay, now the other thing they might have you do is write each expression as a sum or difference. So they want you to go backwards. So they're going to give you 1 and they want you to spread it out. I use a shortcut and say expand, but they want you to write it as a sum or difference of multiple logarithms. Okay, so if I had log base 7 of 6 times 2 over 5, and they have to write it like that because you know 12, you could write 3 and 4, 6 and 2, 12 and 1, so they specifically give you the numbers they want. But we know that we're going to change multiply to add, divide to subtract, and they're all going to have a log base 7. So I have log base 7 of 6. Now I change multiply to plus a whole log base 7, same base, of 2. And then subtract, because we're dividing. Log, again, base 7 of 5. How about this one? Log base 3 of x to the 4th over y to the 3rd. Alright, now we have a couple steps we'll do. Well, let's go ahead and change that divide to subtract. So I know I'm dividing, so I'm going to make that subtract. And they're both going to have log base 3s. And then I want to take care of those exponents. So I'm going to go one more step and write those in front. So I'm going to write 4 times log base 3 of x. Subtract log base 3 of y. And that's your answer. Let's just do one last one. How about this one? Log base b of the square root of 3 over y. And they're trying to trick us, but we know that if we have the square root, we can choose to write that as x to the 1/2. Those are equivalent, right? So this is an exponent in disguise. And once again, it's dividing. So let's go ahead and just write that as subtract. So I have subtract now, and they both have to be log base b, because that's on the whole thing. And I still have the square root of y. But then, instead of writing the square root, we know we can bring that power down in front, like that. So, hopefully, it'll take this one, and hopefully that will help you guys.